Your man is working this week. No show Sunday for Thanksgiving. So we've been bringing you folks. We brought you the legendary Mike Mahoney day for yesterday. Yesterday, Aaron Baker, the man knows all things Missouri politics. Today, we are bringing you the, how do we say this politically correctly? The most effeminate haircut in the Missouri Republican Party. The master appropriator, State Senator Lincoln Huff. Welcome to this week in Missouri Politics Midweek Update.
I'm always a little concerned on how what direction you're going to go, Scott. So yeah, hey, thanks for the thanks for the invite, thanks for the 15th midweek update. Which I mean, at some point, it's just we do an update every day on the show, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I do think we kind of left people
Midweek's
hanging
like
with one.
Wednesday.
You remember the day that we tried to do this without Kelton and plugging all the wires and shit, and it all would just totally sideways?
He was stuck on the bridge, and I mean, we ended up just saying.
Did you ever fix that bridge, by the way?
That's not on I-70, so I don't care.
Okay, all right, got you. Speaking of, seriously,
yeah,
I think it is a very when you first got elected to the House, you could have never thought that you'd be part of rebuilding I-70. I mean, everybody talked about it, but it was nobody seriously thought that could happen. Man, that's got to be a hell of a feeling to drive home knowing you've kind of lit the fuse to start this thing, and that everybody that's bogged down in traffic now on that 2-lane, I mean, just damn near parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to open up the entire part of not just Missouri, but the Midwestern part of the country. So hell of an accomplishment.
So it made me think a lot over the holiday weekend and last week. You saw probably like just these snarled up traffic messes around the country. And yeah, I-70 is bad. It's not that bad. It's obviously not the 405 in California. But what we wanted to
is that by Burger House or
I don't know
what part of Montauk County is the 405 in?
I don't know. I just saw some pictures of just all white lights and all red lights, and nobody was moving anywhere, and there were like 6 lanes both directions.
Did Caleb Jones have his tractor in the road or something in California?
Somebody, I think Christie might have shut a bridge down or something. And
did Alex Tuttle have a wreck or something, and all California was bugged?
Really no, it's a good feeling. I mean, to really get to the point, it's a good feeling to know that long term there's going to be some big infrastructure changes, improvements. That you're right. It's not just Missouri. It's not just St. Louis and Kansas City and Columbia. It's the whole Midwest, and I think it's every rural community that feeds into that major artery in this state that's going to see a benefit long term. Yeah, it's probably going to suck for a little while because you got to go through some growing pains, but in the end, having 3 lanes both directions is going to be a game changer for not just Missouri but for the Midwest.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I'm from a small town, but no matter what we do in Stringtown, Missouri, if the state of Missouri is doing it, it probably is not paid for in Stringtown, Missouri, at Stringtown Grocery. It's probably paid for by those major arteries. And to me, it is just a simple fact. Whether you're in Scotland County or you're in Butler County or any county in between, I-70 is going to benefit you, even if it's indirect.
And I-70, I-70 gets a lot of the attention, but you got to remember for the last couple of years, and this is something that started under Hageman, we've been putting a lot of resources behind. We call them those low volume roads, those farm to market roads, those other necessary improvements. The governor's, you always got to give the governor a shout out on his bridge program. 250 bridges either repaired or replaced around the state in the last 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, these are game changers for communities all over. It's not just I-70; it's the whole system.
I grew up on M Highway in Butler County, Missouri, and the M stood for make sure you look out for potholes.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And you probably drove it enough that you knew where they were and you kind of get around them.
Well, once Todd elected, they put a lot of resources down there and it got better. But, I mean, that's been a while now.
It's been a day or two.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Missouri State. You and Washington pretty well gold-plated the place down there.
Missouri State University?
Yeah. Now that Cliff's leaving, I mean, I don't think if you're not plugged into Springfield at all, I don't think you could truly appreciate the place that Cliff Smart holds, not just at that college, but in that community. His retirement is, that's a big damn deal. How's the college taking it? How's the community taking it?
Yeah, it's a big deal. So Cliff has had an amazing tenure, not just at Missouri State, but in the community before that. He's everywhere all the time. He's kind of, you see Mike Kehoe do that all over the state. Cliff is everywhere in Springfield all the time, and quite frankly, supporting Bears athletics and a lot of their stuff all over the country. So him leaving, him making that decision, and somebody like him is not going to stay forever. He's probably lasted longer than most college president tenures, and he's done, I think, transformative things between him, Hal over at OTC. We have a lot of good things going down here in our higher ed. Now, I'll just be totally honest with you. It's kind of like taking over for a major league franchise that has won the last couple of World Series or something. So the next guy or gal that steps into that has some tremendous shoes to fill. I mean, I know they're doing a national search. I had lunch with the
Well, this is the time we like to talk about rural broadband and how important it is. Obviously, you would hope Greene County could have the same rural broadband that United Electric Co-op does up in Savannah. So we were talking about rural broadband.
Welcome back. Yeah, so we're going to put a lot more money in rural broadband, specifically in the northeast part of Greene County, because I'm at the farm right now, and it's not always the best.
You remember
when
Jack Buck retired, they brought in a guy named Wayne Hagan. And he was fine, probably, but everyone hated him. He wasn't Jack Buck. He lasted 2 years and was gone. I almost worry for the person that takes that job. I mean, you are replacing a Jack Buck level figure. But let me ask you this: is he going to stick around? Is he going to run for mayor?
I hope that Cliff does something and stays. I mean, he's the kind of guy that I think is kind of embedded in Springfield. I mean, he lives right by the university. He's been here forever. His law practice was here. I see him staying involved. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I think he'd make a great mayor. I mean, following in the shoes of Ken McClure, Ken's done a great job. I think Cliff would be awesome. I mean, if that's what he wants to do, I have no doubt that after, the grueling schedule that he keeps, he probably wants a minute or two to take a break, but he also strikes me as the kind of guy that after like 6 months, he goes, maybe I ought to get back in the swing of things.
I mean, it took you about 6 months in county government to decide you're running for state senate.
About 6 days. There were 6 days. Yeah, not a full week, but yeah, it was close. We tried.
Hey, speaking of, you got the statewide dance card. Seems like it's filling up, but there is a spot at lieutenant governor. You've been linked to maybe kicking the tires on. What goes through your mind when you're thinking about? I mean, nobody. I think we all live in our different parts of this state. It's hard to fathom how far Edina is from Springfield. What all goes through your mind when you decide a decision like that?
3.5 hours, I think. It's 3.5 hours. So the biggest thing, and you and I have talked about this before, and it's the first thing that always comes to mind anytime somebody brings this up, is the two little guys that I've got at home, William and Sam. William's 10. He turned 10 this fall right before Halloween. Sam's 5. And I actually like them, and they're actually fun, and we spend a lot of time together. And I look at some of the schedules that people keep. In my opinion, if you're going to do that and you're going to do it right, you're going to work like a Mike Kehoe does, and you're going to be around as much as you can all the time. And I just don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if right now that's a place that is best for those two guys. Now, I'll tell you, take them to school this morning. And me and William, this is great because it's like tax season, right? And I'm sure we can get into taxes here in a minute. But William went and got the mail the other day, and he comes in screaming, taxes are here, taxes are due. And I'm going, man. But he talks to me on his way to school about where does this money go? What do we do with it? What does our community do with it? How do these decisions get made? And he knows, they both know Dad's involved in the state government. But do you want that to continue? Do you want to keep, I mean, they're interested in it. They like the idea. It's, it's kind of cool. They come up to the Capitol every year and spend some time with us. But that's the biggest part of that decision for me, is whether or not it's a good time for two guys that, I've never heard, I've probably said this to you before. I've never heard a parent say, I wish I'd worked more when my kids were little. I wish I would have gone to more, meetings when my kids were little. They always say, like, you're going to blink. You see this with Gussie, but like, you're going to blink and they grow up and you're like, where the hell did 12, 15, 18 years ago? I mean, I remember like when, William's 10, like I said, I remember the day the kid was born, like it was last week, and it's a decade ago. So I don't want to lose that, but at the same time, you got to leave, you got to leave something for them. And so we're still mulling it over. There's no doubt.
Well, I mean, if you look at it objectively, you can raise the money. I think that's the biggest thing for any statewide campaign is, can you raise the money? I would say you could probably raise the money, frankly. You have a job that every Republican that runs statewide pretends he has. You actually have that job. There's a great backstory there that's good. I'll ask you this. This is the real question. So Dean Plocker, who I assume you have a fine relationship with, Holly Rader's running, somebody that I've always seen you get along with and side with, frankly, a lot. Bob Onder might not fit the same description. Does
Mhm.
Bob get in and get your competitive juices flowing just a little bit?
I mean, I would, I don't ever do things based on what somebody else is doing. I think the last thing that anybody in politics ought to do is run a reactionary campaign. I've never done it. From the first time I ran for the House, everybody said, your primary opponent's doing this and he's doing that, and you need to do this. And I said, look, like, we've got a plan. We've raised what I think we need to do to run this campaign. It's how I've run every election thereafter. We've not lost any of them. And so, I mean, what Bob Onder does or doesn't do, or whether his brother tries to buy it for him, is irrelevant and immaterial to whether or not I get involved in this race.
So let's talk about the governor's race. You got a guy you've been helping a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. Try to spend as much time helping him out as I can. Absolutely.
Talk about Mike Kehoe, but break down why you think Kehoe's the right guy.
Well, I think if you look at what he's done through his life, he is exactly what people always say they want to see in government. They want to see people who've run a business, right? Who've signed the front and backs of paychecks, right? Who've employed people, who've created jobs, who've built businesses. I mean, he's just a solid stand-up guy. He's got the perfect story that.
And this again is where we talk about rural broadband and its importance for everyone, not just folks who are watching this, but folks who are trying to call in. I want to take a moment here and thank the folks. We'll ask Lincoln to confirm this in a minute. But if you're coming to town, Courtyard by Marriott's the only hotel to go to. And if you want to see rural broadband done right, the right way, go to Savannah, Missouri, United Electric Co-op, outstanding electric co-op. Running broadband, not just running it, they actually want it run into St. Joseph from United. If you want to feel good about this broadband money and where it's going, United Electric Co-op is the one. And we'd like to see if for our next midweek update that includes Senator Huff, is he back? The next time that we get you on, which I assume you'll do tomorrow's update as well, if you could go to Savannah and maybe call from Savannah where United Electric Co-op is, that might make for a much better. It would help us. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, Kelton, he cautioned me about this whenever we talked earlier, but he said this was usually on your end, not my end. So,
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
So, governor's race, sporting Kehoe. Let me ask you this: if you were getting married Saturday, as our man Kelton is, I think Kelton should hold out and demand that he gets at least one AC/DC song in this ceremony. So we have a poll question here. Let me go to the poll. You can go to my Twitter at Scott Faughn or X or whatever the hell they call it now. And you can look, there's a poll here. So right now we've got a few votes coming in. Oh, it's bumping up. The question is, should Kelton demand at least one AC/DC song at his wedding on Saturday? Hell yes, #represent, or no, just do what she says. How you weighing in here? If there's anybody that knows how to perfect a marriage ceremony, I would think it'd be you. So
I am probably not the resident expert on long-lasting relationships.
Well, neither am I.
So Kelton, I would probably, take whatever I have to say with a grain of salt. But I'm going to go down the road and probably do what she says, brother.
I think that's good, actually.
Everybody's voted so far 100% with hell yes, represent, and I voted hell yes also. But in reality, I would not. I would just do what she says, Kelton.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm going to talk tough. But if it was a game time situation, I am totally shutting up and doing what she says and playing some John Tesh, or I don't even know what people do with those awful things. I don't know. People play Kitty Chesney or some shit.
Like the John Tesh radio show?
Kelton, best of luck to you, man.
Yes, for sure. I'll toast you with this terrific Stein that I got. This is a Billy Beer Stein that Scott Swain gave me. He presented an estate sale. Jimmy Carter's brother was trying to grift off him a little bit. That's if you ever get, you've been kind of grifting off Olivia your whole life. It would be so this is kind of like Billy was Jimmy Carter's brother. He created his own kind of beer to kind of grift off his brother's success. So Billy Beer, Scott Swain, thank you, sir. We will enjoy this.
Cheers.
Let's talk taxes. You have cut the hell out of taxes. Nobody has cut more dollars worth of taxes than you have in your career. While taking advantage of the ARPA money and building 70. Are you concerned now that maybe I was on the radio the other day, and I kind of described about winning the lottery. You've cut taxes. You're right on the line of whether you're going to break even or not, right? I mean, there's not a lot of wiggle room now as far as the cash flow of the state. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. No, you're exactly right.
So if you cut taxes again, it's almost like you have this ARPA money. Some of it's still left. You've kind of appropriated it and strung it out a little bit. The governor's vetoed some of it, so that gives you a little more to play with. End of the day, though, it's kind of like a lottery winner, right? You always see the show where the lottery wins the lottery and they're bankrupt 3 years later.
Right.
It kind of feels like you cut taxes much more, and you're going to be the folks that won the lottery. 3 years later, you're bankrupt.
Right. So what we did, and I worked with Senator Koenig a couple of years ago whenever we cut, Scott, over $1 billion worth of individual income tax. And we did it in a measured way, right, with growth indicators for those triggers to be, met before things would roll off and all that kind of stuff. Well, here's what we're looking at, okay? So Senator Luetkemeyer passed a bill last year that ended the collection of income tax on Social Security checks, right? So
it's kind of a sloppy bill, though. I mean, you've had to hear that from MAG people. It wasn't the best crafted piece of legislation.
Sometimes things probably have some hiccups along the way. The fiscal side of that was a $320 million hit to general revenue for the state starting January 1 of this next year, 24. On top of that, we've got one of the triggers on the tax cut that Senator Koenig and I worked on that will go into effect. That's got a cut. I mean, it's almost $200 million. So you got $500 million rolling off the books January 1. On top of that, we've got kind of our first round of department requests that are being sorted out from the governor's office right now. Scott, they're a little over $1 billion worth of new spending from last year to this next fiscal year. So again, do the math, right? People talk about this $3 billion surplus, which I would argue it's not really a surplus if we've got $1 billion worth of NDIs that are coming, and they're not all going to get passed, but I mean, some of them will, and somebody will, want to do some more on provider rates. I'll bet you anything that there's going to be a conversation about continuing the pay raises for state employees, which have gone up, I think, 16 or 17% in the last 2 or 3 years. All those things along the way, they start to add up. And you're exactly right. What we can't do is we can't be in a situation where we have cut to the point where we have nothing left, and then people still think they can come, quite frankly, to my office and demand that we put tens of millions of dollars into communities, almost in kind of a hostage situation. If you don't do this, I'm going to hold everything up. So I try to remind people you can't do it. You can't have it both ways. Okay. Yeah. We can't keep cutting, and then add more to the budget. Doesn't work.
Well, I mean, you could do that on Twitter and Facebook, but in real life, there's a legend.
In reality, it doesn't work.
And that's always the sad part. I was talking to Aaron Baker yesterday about that governor's race. And first of all, I think Kehoe's ad is great. I think the one where he's on a horse and he rides off, I think that's like the one that's different. Everybody his story is legitimately amazing, but everybody kind of has an ad introducing themselves, and they're going to do this and this and this and whatever. Mm-hmm. But when he sits on that horse, it kind of looks like he's been there before. It kind of looks pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it doesn't look scripted. It doesn't look like he went out and borrowed the horse, bought the new jeans, and had to rub some dirt on a new pair of boots, and you can tell he's not comfortable. Like this, it's an ad that's as authentic as the man is.
He probably didn't have to Google how to make my boots look broke in.
No, I don't think he had to do that.
Which I know a person that did run for state that had to do that, and it actually came up with get a wire brush, which I bet would work actually. The boots did look good after he got done with them. Although I told Baker this, I think Kehoe can point at you and say, I'm going to whoop your ass. And I think it lands as a serious threat better than anybody else. And that's kind of where I see a lot of that electorate. It's not necessarily, they don't want to sit down and talk about a bunch of issues in depth. They want somebody that'll whip someone's ass. And Mike Kehoe seems like the bull of the woods that could, if he told you that across the bar, you'd probably believe him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not saying that I know this for a fact, but he might have done it a time or two too. Who knows?
All right. We've talked about everything. Now we're down to the Kelton. I hope the FBI doesn't catch him tomorrow before his wedding, or maybe that's his out. Maybe this whole illegal gambling ring he's created is an elaborate scheme to get out of getting married. Kelton, that is just brilliant, son. I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah, serving time in federal prison is much better than getting married, I guess.
It says you're laughing because you've never been married. That's why you think that's a joke. Every other person that's been married out here is like, well, that's actually a decent question. I mean, weigh these things out. And so we're doing the SEC championship. We have Georgia versus Alabama. We have Alabama's getting 6 points, 6.5 points. Mike Mahoney, the Kansas City legend, he took Georgia and gave the points. Aaron Baker took Georgia and gave the points. Kelton, who always picks Mizzou, it pisses me off. This is supposed to make me look good to pick Mizzou. He always picks Mizzou.
Right.
He took Georgia in the points. I took Bama because of Skinnerd and the points. Where are you at?
I'm taking Bama.
Yeah,
I do not. I'm not betting against Nick Saban. I'm taking Bama with the points.
And if they'll play Sweet Home Alabama at the game, I'm going to give the points back and just pick them to win.
Maybe
Georgia on my mind is fine, but it's not as good as Sweet Home Alabama.
No. Iconic.
Yeah. I'm going Saban too. I think he's been pissed off. I think it's rubbed it in his face a little bit that Georgia has kind of took a step past them. And I don't know if he wins or not, but I bet you those boys come to play.
I'll bet they come ready. Yeah. They're coming. They're going to come ready. There's no doubt.
Hypothetically, if you were going to meet somebody, if somebody's coming to the state, if you're pulling out a Chillicothe in the morning and you got a meeting the next day here at the Capitol, you come down, you want to meet with you to ask for money for some wonderful project in Chillicothe, what hotel do you take them seriously at if the meeting's at? That is hilarious. The Capitol Plaza has struck again. The Capitol Plaza couldn't beat us straight up. So right as he's about to answer, which I assume he's going to say the Courtyard by Marriott, the internet kicks in. And if I was a right winger, I would say it's a Joe Biden, MediaCom, Capitol Plaza conspiracy to stop the Courtyard by Marriott's dominance here. Okay, are we?
Did you get Capitol Plaza? Did you get that?
Yeah, I think this could be if I was a right winger, I would obviously never blame myself. I would blame someone else. So I would say it was Joe Biden, the Courtyard by Marriott, someone that has darker skin than Kelton, and I guess the Capitol Plaza in on this MediaCom breakdown to keep you from telling where would it actually be if you were coming to ask for rural broadband money from Springfield.
Yeah.
Where would you have this meeting at if you want to be taken seriously?
Well, first of all, I don't think we're going to have any problem investing more money in rural broadband after today. I think it's going to be pretty high priority. I mean, I know a lot of people want to spend some money on I-44, and I just went back and forth to St. Louis on Monday on that blessed road. But we're going to have to do something about the internet connectivity out in the far reaches of it. I mean, I'm 10 minutes outside of Springfield, and you can't get a signal to stay. Courtyard by Marriott, hands down, best lobby, best hotel rooms, greatest place to stay with if you're stuck in Jeff City.
Well, the last topic is just simply me complimenting how brilliant I am. We've had the state of knowledge here since 2018 in different settings and different rooms. Kelton, could you pop up my prediction? It is every damn time the state of knowledge. I swear to God, you could set your camera to it. The state of knowledge is so real, it bogs down internet connections. When I said Rob Escova lived off his campaign account, of course I was right. He was paid for by these folks he was trying to pass a bill for, and he'd buy office supplies, quote unquote, at wherever. Now, I was reliably informed by Jefferson County and that you don't look up at the special interests. The special interests don't matter. And now our friend, the finest Uber driver in all of Imperial, is now a registered lobbyist in Georgia. I think he says his address is somewhere in Maryland. It's not Columbia, Missouri. It's Maryland. Folks, never listen to me. Come into close. Listen with your soul. Never doubt the state of knowledge. It is right every time. It might take a minute. Sometimes, Kelton, it does take a second. But my state of knowledge is 100% of the time, my state of knowledge predictions are right every time. Listen to me when I tell you. Flat Doug knows. He knows. Lincoln, it was so real. It was too real for him. His connection broke. The state of knowledge, the impact of the state of knowledge was so real. His internet connection literally killed that. It just couldn't take it anymore. Did the state of knowledge, was it just so real it took out your internet connection? It did. See, I've got to stop. I've got to hide the Steinem knowledge because I don't think his internet connection can handle the realness of my Steinem knowledge prediction. Amazing level. I mean, honestly, Kelton, they say like don't watch food being microwaved if you're pregnant. Well, I actually would say the hell with that. Don't watch the Steinem knowledge predictions if you're pregnant because it's such a force in the air of being so damn right every damn time. Lincoln, I was saying, you know how sometimes when women are pregnant, they shouldn't watch food in the microwave?
People say that?
Yeah, I've heard that before. I actually had a buddy that encouraged a lady to watch it because it was subversive. He didn't get the Right to Life endorsement. But I'm just saying, if you are pregnant, when I do a side of knowledge, turn it off because I do think it could cause birth defects. I mean, have you ever in your life one time ever seen the side of knowledge with my white trash intuition through my crystal meth ball not predict the future? Spot on. Nostradamus can suck it.
So far, I've seen 0 times of that. I think you're batting 1,000, Scott.
Boom, 1,000. Sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it does take a minute.
But you'll get there.
But it always comes. It always comes. It's like spring. It takes a minute sometimes, but it always comes. Never, ever. Please bring the camera in. Look into my heart. I'm giving you advice. My white trash intuition is so finely tuned every damn time. If I make a prediction, trust me, stop what you're doing. Go see Kelton's illegal gambling ring. Put the money down. Put the money down. Just like Vescovo put the campaign money in his grocery bill. Now he just does straight up, gets paid by the folks, the special interest. Write this down. If I make a side knowledge prediction, my white trash intuition is so finely honed over the cases and cases of Bud Light that I can predict the future way better than Nostradamus. And before your internet connection goes, we should say thank you, Senator Huff, for coming on the show and especially hanging around for my victory lap celebration.
It was good.
We'll see you, I guess, sometime next month, right?
I think we're going to be back up there next month.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks a lot for doing the show. Right. You're the Alec Baldwin of the Midweek Update. We appreciate it.
All right. See you, Scott. Thanks, Kel.
So, folks, this as we come to the end of the show here, again, listen to me. If I pick up the Stein, if I pick it up like this in my hand, if I pick the Stein up and I bring it to my freshly perched lips and I pull from the fount of wisdom that is the Stein of knowledge like this, and you hear me go, and take a drink, know that what I'm about to say is the most accurate predictions this side of the Farmer's Almanac. The Farmer's Almanac dreams of having my level of Jim Cramer. Do you know the body parts he would sell to be able to predict the future at 1/3 of my successful abilities? Look, lobbyist registration, special interest. When I pull them out, I'm 100% right. When I say they're probably wife-beating perverts, ding, ding, Faughn was right. When I say they live off this stuff and it's really kind of a game to get paid, boom. Winner, chicken dinner every time. So I'm not, again, folks, I'm not saying sometimes. I'm not saying most of the time. I'm saying when my white trash intuition kicks in, never, ever doubt it. And that's what I'll leave you with. After we say Kelton, I want to say this. I'm excited for you, buddy. Kelton's leaving me and Mike Moon to run the show tomorrow, so let's see what happens. He is going to get married. He's going to be out for a week. Don't think I'm not going to hold you to your bet if you lost. I will be here when you back from that honeymoon wanting my $10. But Kelton, congratulations. Very happy for you and your bride. So the ceremony is what time Saturday?
It's at 1 p.m. on Saturday.
I'll bet she'd be real ticked off if we gave out the address to that, huh?
Extremely.
Well, Kelton, I tell you what, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to send you off right. I'm going to send you off the way you should be sent off. You deserve a legit send out, and I'm going to give it to you because you're a hell of a good dude. You've been producing this show. You've made it look awesome. I think what we got to go here is take in the AC/DC. That's right. Dun, 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 dun. If you don't know what song is about to play by this interlude, then you are not white trash. Write that down. Kel, let's let this breathe as we send you off for the last time as a single man. You'll come in with that heavy, heavy ring on your finger, betrothed to your bride, all for a life of wondrous pleasures and happiness. Just go with it, guys. He's never married before. As we lead in, after we hit the chorus here, Kel, any last words you have?
No, not at all.
All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow with Mike Moon and Sunday with Lauren Arthur on This Week in Missouri Politics.